YouTube, what's going on, guys? It's your boy Decades. We're back, another episode. Star Citizen. Today is November 21st 2022 and it is 7:20 p.m. and I originally said I was not going to jump back into Star Citizen until update 3.18, but I decided to partake in the festivities of this week. I think it's the IAE, Intergalactic Aerospace Expo or something like that, and I wanted to see the status of the ship that I've purchased for like $700 or $650 or whatever it was, the Banu merchantman. So I decided to go ahead and jump into the game. I'm doing a voiceover right now because my microphone was not working properly thanks to NVIDIA software again, how it randomly deselects my Chromecast microphone and then selects my headphones. I don't know how it does this. Every once in a while it just does it automatically, so I'm gonna get to the point where I have to check it before I start recording, which is a pain. Anyway, what I'm going to do while you guys are watching the video, I'm on my way to the expo to see what the Banu merchantman looks like at the expo, 3D model or whatever it's going to be. I'm going to read to you guys, well, just reveal what I found on Cyberspace Industries website as far as the status of the Banu merchantman. You can go to the website, go under development, go under progress tracker, type in the ship, and you'll be able to see the deliverables. And this is now, it says Q2 2023, which is like June, middle of June. And it says duration 128 weeks. And it also says description: building, balancing, and implementing the merchantman, the Banu made trading vessel, into the game. One of the progress bars on the website under the Banu merchantman says that the team or the resource working on this is part-time, that their time is being split between two different teams. So that's the current progress tracker as of today. It says at the top, it says progress tracker version 1.0 updated November 9th 2022. And yeah, so that's it. So I was pleasantly surprised when making my way to the event because it ran pretty smooth, unlike the last few events I've tried to attend where I was falling through the floor. I had the subway or this tram, I've had the doors kill me. I've tried to get out of the doors, it killed me. And also previously on some of these events, it wasn't that easy to find. You were kind of running around constantly looking up on the walls trying to find exactly where to go. Whereas with this one, as you will see, it was very easy to navigate because they dummy proofed it basically. If you can't find this expo center, then you must be Stevie Wonder because you can't see at all. Okay, that's what I'm saying. Because as soon as you get off the tram, boom, there's a sign. I'm like, oh, okay, easy peasy. It wasn't like this before. Before you had to figure it out. It was like, I guess maybe it's this way. Then look on the website. Where did they say they're gonna have it? Oh, okay. And where is that at exactly? Oh, okay. It was one of those. That's how I had to figure it out. But this is dummy proofed here. So anyway, before in the events when I would get to the main hall like this, it would run pretty slow, and this is running pretty good. And that there is the Drake Cutter, which is seems to be the ship that's generating a lot of talk right now, but we'll see what goes on with that. They're saying it's the hottest ship to start off with, the best ship to start off with, is multifunctional. So maybe, don't know. I don't really follow it because it doesn't fall into my range of play of what I want to do with the game. So anyway, yeah, as I was saying before, the the game is running really, really well here. And typically when I had jumped in before, I wanted to cover this too, how it's really simple. They've made it really, really simple to find where you want to go. So here I'm looking for the Banu, and you can see it's under the Zenith Hall. And it even shows you the dates and everything inside the elevator. So it's really awesome how they've made it kind of dummy proof. So you don't have to search around to find out where you need to go. That's really awesome. So getting here, again, it's running pretty smooth. No issues whatsoever. Not many people just standing around. I mean, I've seen some of these events before where, there's people standing in midair or people standing on the stairs and standing there. But this seems to be going okay. And again, I didn't see the Banu Merchantman, so I came over to the map, and it shows you right there how you have to go downstairs. It says lower level and hollow suite. So again, very simple to follow. That's awesome. I love the design. The hall looks nice. The lighting is amazing. Love it. I just really like aesthetically pleasing games. It just look really, really good. Coming through here, I'm looking for the Banu. I have no idea what this thing was. Again, it's pretty small, so it's not of interest to me. What's that called? Medium fighter. So, and you guys know I take the weapons off my ship, and here we are. This is the model of the Banu Merchantman. And of course, it's freight. Banu traders are renowned for their merchant prowess, traveling the space lines and trading with everyone they meet. Their sturdy, dedicated trading ships have proven themselves a vessel ideally suited to the task. Yeah, so this is a little disappointing. I wish they had more, maybe a bigger model, or I really don't know what to take from this, because based on the progress tracker, it's June 2023, and it really doesn't say that it's going to be complete. It just says building, balancing, and implementing the Merchantman, the Banu-made trading vessel, into the game. So I don't know if they're saying that it's going to be in the game by 2023 June, or that's when the next update's going to happen. So anyway, that pretty much concludes the information that I have on the Banu Merchantman from this year's show. I am interested in the Misk Odyssey, so I might do one more of a small episode like this, where I see what they have on show for the Odyssey, and then go into a video of what I can pull up on the internet, or directly from Star Citizen about the Odyssey. But until then, I've pulled a video down from their website, and I'm going to put it here where you guys can see what they're saying. I think it was this year, about the Banu Merchantman. And until next episode, guys, you guys enjoy.
I think when tackling a ship that's got so many unknowns about it, it's a completely new art style, or it's not something that a lot of the team kind of worked on before, we kind of need to make sure that we're approaching it in the most sensible way we can. Exterior is going through its grey box pass, so it's looking a little bit more advanced than the interior of the ship that we'll see in a bit. We've basically got 2 artists on it, and we kind of chop the ship up into different parts that they can work on, and we're just going through and making sure that everything that needs to fit in the ship is going to fit in the ship.
So we've got the entire front with its hidden weapons that come out from there for the pilot control. It's dual docking collars, one on either side. It's wings with the new animation designs for them, for how they're actually going to deploy. As you can see, there's a lot of detailing on the wing section, a very elaborate and almost elegant design on it, because at the end of the day, this is something they use as a trademark to show how wealthy they are and well they're doing as a trader.
It's a new art style. We've done the Defender, obviously, but for the UK team, it's a kind of new art style, and also the Defender is vastly smaller in terms of its size. There's our normal kind of approach to how we kind of layer in the details has needed a bit of kind of alteration, and we've had to kind of think about how we're going to bring in some of those smaller scale elements to give a better sense of size and scale. Because when you zoom out from this ship, you still want it to feel huge. And it deserves to feel huge. It is absolutely monstrous. So I think we've had to spend a bit more time working out how we're going to add detail to it. There's still a lot to be done. There's still a lot of the finer details to be added, because that does impact in how we model the ship, how we make the ship. So yeah, it's been a fun challenge for the artists so far. I remember seeing the play blast in Max, and they were a little bit felt a bit weightier and a bit sleeker than that. But yeah, there is some kind of subtle movement where panels open up and they allow for the kind of like the rest of the wings to slide in. And as with everything we do, we make sure that there's not space magic going on. Things actually kind of fit and function as they should. So yeah, it gives a few more challenges, but I think the end result is a much nicer kind of silhouette when you see this thing parked. Okay, so the interior of the ship, like I say, is the main, like you're going to see now, is mainly in kind of white box. The concept mesh gave us like a really good starting point. As always with concept meshes, we had to do a fair amount of kind of optimizations and remodeling to kind of get it to the point where we can get it into engine and kind of start walking around it. The bridge is trying not to say the same thing for every area. It's massive, and you can just any area of the ship you go into, just know that in the back of my head I'm thinking it's huge. We've obviously got the kind of like the 4 control seats. Mark, do you want to talk through the different functionality stations? Yeah.
So as ever, the Banu don't have captains. They're a very family communal sort of unit, so it didn't make sense to have a primary captain station for the bridge section. In reality, everything would be relatively even. So we have the pilot seat and control, which obviously with a ship of this scale, it's very difficult to get a good view from the pilot seat, to get a good view of what's actually happening. So a lot of the animations need to be very alien so that you could get the pilot into a good position so they'd be able to see what they're doing. So we use a lot of Xian tech, which lift things up through gravity, so they get this fantastic view out the front, so you can see where you're actually going. So you've got your primary pilot seat, then to the right of them you have your co-pilot seat, then 2 stations behind are for the large remote turrets that the ship has for defense. So if you ever need it, people can quickly jump into these seats and get into the action to try and defend you from whatever's happening if it's coming up behind or the sides. Obviously, if it's coming on front, the pilot has more than enough means to be able to deal with it themselves. Directly behind the bridge, where the actual operations occur, you have some basic features for if stuff goes wrong. So you have some suit lockers to put emergency suits in, because obviously they're not going to want to go around in their day-to-day lives wearing their spacesuit all the time. But if something goes wrong, they do want them to hand. So next to the actual escape pods, you have your suit lockers to quickly get suited and booted, and then be able to get into your escape pod and get out of there if you need to. So they have one on either side, one for each of the actual crew that would be on the bridge, as well as a couple of extra, because leading a little further down, we actually have the more habitation side of the ship, but we'll get to that when we get there. Directly behind, we also have the entryway to get inside the main man turret.
This is kind of one of the rooms that we spent a bit of time kind of playing with in white box and making sure we got it right. We really wanted this to kind of feel like quite a moment walking into it.
Yeah.
Go on, Jared.
No.
Okay.
Even in gray box, this is quite a moment here.
Yeah, there was some really nice bits in the kind of concept where you had these kind of like these like lit walls, and we tried to kind of pull some of that into, and I think it's almost having that kind of moment of like solitude before you kind of get yoinked up into battle. So it's quite a lonely area of the ship. Everywhere else on the ship kind of feels like it's built for, like Mark was saying, like the family. Whereas this is kind of very purposeful. You know what you're getting into as soon as you walk in that room.
An interesting thing about the turret, because it's probably something people are going to be curious about, is how it actually works, because there's no big arm there behind it or anything like that. Once again, it's using alien technology that's keeping it up in place, which is what the plinth is for behind it. And there's an air shield that will be going around the top of here so that when you actually enter the turret, you're not venting the entirety of the room. Obviously, that does mean that people could try and sneak onto your ship, but while your turret's manned, that might not be the safest thing for them to do. Moving down from the actual bridge area, we then move into the sanctuary. So the Banu are known for being very multicultural when it comes to their religious beliefs. So they have a entire area dedicated to worship, to fortune, to hoping that things are going to go well for them, or that the next trade deal is going to be a good one. So this is sort of at the end of the tree of life, which is how the entire ship's built around. And it makes sense for it to be at the end of the tree because it's where everything comes out from. So it was important to keep that feel that it runs through the root of the ship. Going off the side of the sanctuary area, we have the med bay, something that people are very curious about where it actually was. It's just off to the side, just behind the bridge, just near where all of the actual habitation is. You have a primary medical care bed, which will do your day-to-day actual healing, and then you have recovery beds similar to the ones we have on the Carrack. Now, rather than just being a bed, decided to try something a little different. It's now these pools of healing gel that you lie in just to recover from any significant operation that you had.
Yeah, I think this was again an excuse to kind of just push the ship away from what we're used to seeing. So originally we had like the 3 beds lined up in here, and it was functional. It was it still looked good. It was just like, it'd be really nicer if these if you had your operation and then just sink down into that recovery pool. And
secretly tucked behind the actual medical section is where the actual medical officer would work. So it's his main station, as well as storage supplies for whatever medical supplies that he needs. Obviously, at the moment, it's just the back of the bed, but it's where you do refills on the bed or anything else that you'd need to do. Obviously, the doors across the entire ship are very alien in appearance. So though they make sense, but at the same time, like it was very important, like going across this, to make everything make sense to the human eye, but at the same time be so different. So you immediately recognize it as a door, but once it starts actually animating and doing something, it feels completely alien. And even doing the general design of the ship, it was important to keep that consistent, something that is easily recognizable, but also completely different to what people expect. Moving on from the shrine area, we move into the recreation and social habitation area. So you've got your food maker, along with areas to actually eat, as well as the actual social area. So people can sit around, talk, plan stuff out.
And I think one of the things that we try to tackle here is, obviously we have very strict metrics for our human characters, and the Banu as a race are generally a bit taller, a bit larger. So there's that kind of balance between making things work for both scales of character, and making sure that we don't end up with let's say like the child in the scene. I remember we brought it up in one of the update meetings, and the consensus was, well, this is a Banu ship, and whilst they support all the other races that we have in our universe, ultimately it's their ship, and so things should be made to their scale.
Directly off the habitation area, we have a secondary control for the hangar section. So if someone needs to actually be allowed to enter into the hangar, you have a separate control room to allow you to open up the hangar doors to permit the additional ship to come in. Once again, it's standard doors, but the whole animation, all of it's very alien.
And obviously, when we get to kind of final art, we'll dress this up so there does look to be some functionality there, because we don't want it all to be space magic. It still needs to feel like there is kind of mechanisms there that are supporting these things lifting and being able to kind of hover and float.
Coming off the habitation area, we have 2 staff lifts. So these ones would be specifically for the staff to allow them to move around the ship a lot easier. We'll come back to them later because there's a better point to show them, but they just give you more access just because of the size of the ship. We needed to have multiple ways to get up and down. Otherwise, if you want to get from one part to another, you'd have to run the entire length of the ship, go down a floor, to run the entire length again. So we added multiple ways to move up and down between the ship. So at the rear here, we have the we have the crew-specific lift. This has access to all of the floors, unlike the customer lift. This is the passenger entrance area. So the lift will go to this floor for all of the passengers, which then gives them a little foyer area before they enter whatever floor they're on. We have the meeting area. So this is the conference room where important delegates would come to discuss significant trade negotiations rather than I'm going buying a power plant, I'm going to buy fuel. This is where serious conversations and serious negotiations go on.
Yeah, this has got like a really nice view out over the like cargo hold as well, doesn't it?
Yep. To the side of the actual meeting and delegation room, we have the VIP suites. So obviously your VIP delegates are going to want something a bit nicer, a bit more special when it comes to where they're resting. So they have their own private chambers so that they can rest and relax and freshen up before they actually go do any significant meetings.
And again, this sort of room highlights a lot of the, I guess, the shape language and the difficulties on the ship is that everything's curved, everything flows, and there is that kind of like real kind of like leading shapes that kind of like lead you through the ship, as opposed to what we're so used to on a lot of our human manufactured ships, whereas everything's hard and angled and flat. Really, the only thing in this ship that's flat is the floor.
So the negotiation table has one seat at the top for the actual mediator, which obviously would be a member of the crew, and then even number seats on either side for the delegates to have their discussions. From the actual meeting room, you get a fantastic view of the cargo hold, where all of your goods would actually be stored. As you can see, the amount of cargo that the ship holds is colossal. And just the sheer volume of it gives you this cavernous, cathedral-like view of being stuck in the rafters of a warehouse worth of stock.
Yeah, it gives you a real sense of how tall the ship actually is. When we get to the market, you kind of get a glimpse at that, but it's not until you get into somewhere like this that spans the whole, or not even the whole height, you've got the hangar above the height of this, how big the ship actually is. So I think this is what a lot of the kind of customers are going to see when they first walk into the ship, is this sort of like reveal of the market area. And what we tried to do in this area is kind of everywhere you walk into it, you're kind of walking through a small tunnel or quite a tight space, so that when you kind of do walk into it, it does then open up and you can see that sort of like that grandeur and that height of the ship. And this is only 2 out of, I think it's 5 or 6 floors at this point of the part of the ship you're in. But I think it's just a nice kind of like reveal of the overall kind of again, just repeating that size and that verticality that we see in the other areas of the ship. I think we've already shown a lot of the concept art of this area already, but the idea here is that you've got this hollow in the middle that will kind of will allow the traders to kind of show off some of their items that might not fit in the shops or might be too valuable to place in the shops. So yeah, it's a very exciting area of the ship, this part. Okay, and the last area we want to show you today is kind of the area that we spent a little bit more time on. It's a little bit further along. We've tried to take some areas and push their visuals, so we've got a good understanding of how much work's involved and what the kind of like the final ship is actually going to look like, because it is such a large ship and there's going to be a lot of people ultimately working on it. I think it's good to have that kind of key area that you can kind of refer to as this is what the merchantman's all about. And whilst each area of the ship will have its own feel, will have its own kind of style and in its own forms, I think this is a good indication of the kind of elegance. And if you imagine this is the crew area and the guest area is going to be a level above this, I think it gives you a good idea of what we're aiming for.
The other thing is with the Banu, they're very communal in how they actually live their lives. So it didn't make sense to have separate quarters or separate captain's quarters, because that's just not how they live. And getting the social pit for them to be able to sit around and talk and relax and socialize, it was an important thing to make sure that we got in. The space needed to feel fine and elegant, but also homely.
And that's pretty much where we're up to with the Banu Merchantman at the moment. This is kind of as hot off the press as it comes. There's a lot of areas of the ship we've not shown yet. We're really happy with the progress we've made so far, but at the moment we are kind of at that point where we've got a skeleton crew just kind of working out everything that we need to get done to deliver the ship. When time permits, we'll be able to ramp that up and bring on more of the team to kind of get through the amount of work that's involved. Super excited with where it's up to. I think it's going to be one of those that kind of stand out, one of those hallmark ships that kind of defines what Star Citizen is. It shows that there's more to our universe than single-seater fighters and the likes.